I was pouring water on the flowers by the barn that morning, just enjoying the sound of the birds and the smell of the earth when I heard tires crunching down my dirt road. I looked up, and there she was again, Melissa, the HOA president, from that subdivision 200 yards away, coming at me in her little golf cart, like she was a deputy on patrol. She jumps out, points at my old pickup like it's some kind of crime scene, and says, "This truck has been sitting here all week. You're breaking the rules." I just laughed. "Melissa, this is my ranch. That's my truck. You don't get to fine me for parking on my own land." But she waves a clipboard around like she's writing tickets, then holds up her phone and says, "We'll see what the sheriff thinks." Next thing I know, she's dialing 911. I stood there thinking, no way, this can't be real. But sure enough, a patrol car pulls up, lights flashing. She's smiling under those giant sunglasses like she's about to be crowned Citizen of the Year. The officer steps out and starts to ask me questions. And before I can even open my mouth, another vehicle rolls in. This one says Sheriff on the side. Door swings open, and out steps my son, Sheriff Luke Monroe. "Dad," he says, "and you should have seen Melissa's face." She turned red like a stoplight, couldn't even breathe for a second. Luke walks over calm as ever and says, "Ma'am, you're standing on my father's land. He doesn't answer to your HOA." She stammers, "I didn't know." But Luke isn't done. He signals to his deputy to start a report. Right then the radio crackles, "Movement spotted at my back barn." Suddenly, this isn't just about a truck anymore. Luke tells me to stay put, but my gut sinks. Someone's on my ranch who doesn't belong. We hurry to the back fence and find a kid no older than 25 with bolt cutters in his hands, caught red-handed trying to cut through my posts. Luke cuffs him and asks, "Who told you to come here?" The kid looks nervous, sweating, and blurts, "Some lady with blonde hair and big sunglasses. She said there's a path here." Every eye turns to Melissa. She tries to back away like she didn't hear, but Luke steps right up. "Did you send him?" she mutters. "I might have told someone there was a shortcut, but I didn't tell him to break anything." That was the first real crack in her mask. I thought that would be the end of it, but the next morning there's an envelope pinned to my gate. County Land Office notice of zoning violation. Said I'd built things without permission, using land improperly near protected areas. I hadn't gotten one of those in 10 years. Walk into the county office, and the clerk, who's known me forever, shakes her head. She pulls it up on her screen and says, "Looks like it came through the HOA complaint portal. Name linked Melissa Owens." I almost laughed. She was trying to use paperwork to do what yelling couldn't. A few days later, a zoning officer shows up at my place, clipboard in hand. "We've had multiple complaints, sir. You'll need to appear before the board in 10 days. I show him my training pen, tell him I got verbal approval from Inspector Harris 2 years back. He just sighs. Verbal approvals aren't enough, and Harris retired. That's when I realized Melissa wasn't just being a busybody. She was playing chess, moving me toward a hearing that could shut down my ranch. Then one night, I get a text from an unknown number. Attached is a screenshot of an email from Melissa to a man on the zoning board. Subject line, "Need this pushed through ASAP. The ranch has no paper trail." At the bottom, "Once the violation sticks, we move to phase 2. I stared at that for a long time. Phase 2. What the hell was that supposed to mean? My son sets up a quiet meeting at his house with Beverly, the HOA vice president. Beverly's an older lady, with a cane and sharper eyes than most lawyers I've met. She sits down, pulls out a thumb drive, and says, "Melissa's been whispering about your land for months. It's not just about fences. She thinks there's an aquifer under here. Developers want it. Water rights rezoning, it's gold." My stomach dropped. So that's what all this was about. Not my truck, not my chickens, water. The day of the first zoning hearing comes. The room's packed, neighbors, reporters, everyone. Melissa struts up front like she's presenting a beauty pageant speech. "This isn't personal," she says sweetly. "It's about safety, property values, modern use." I get up with my box of tax records, photos, and permits. Luke steps forward with Beverly's files. And just when it looks like the tide's turning, Luke's phone buzzes. "There's been a fire at my ranch." We race back and find my back barn blazing, black smoke pouring into the sky. The place where I kept my wife's old saddle gone in flames. Fire crew later hands me a half-burned flyer, future site of Cedar Trails Community Park. At the bottom, Melissa's name, clear as day. Now I was angry, but anger didn't matter. Proof did. Beverly gives us blueprints Melissa had already submitted to the county. She wasn't waiting for a decision. She'd already tried to rezone my ranch for development. And if that wasn't enough, the next morning, I get hit with a restraining order. She claims I threatened her, says I intimidated her. The judge grants a temporary order that keeps me 100 feet away from any HOA facility, including the courthouse annex where the final zoning decision will be made. Brilliant move, dirty, but brilliant. I couldn't even walk into my own hearing. But my son could. On the day of the final hearing, Luke stands tall in that room with Beverly by his side. He lays down a binder full of evidence, permits, exemptions, even the screenshot of that Phase 2 email traced right back to Melissa's HOA account. Beverly adds a motion of no confidence, proving Melissa acted alone without HOA approval. The room gasps, reporters scribble, and Melissa loses it, shouting about doing this for the community. But no one's listening anymore. The board dismisses every claim against me and refers her for ethics and criminal review. She's escorted out of the room, red-faced and screaming. I wasn't there in person, but Beverly had a phone streaming it for me. When that gavel came down, I laughed harder than I had in months. 2 days later, Melissa was out as HOA president, packed her bags, and vanished from town. Neighbors came by with hay bales and pies, helped me rebuild the barn. Kids painted a sign that read, "Monroe Ranch Forever." And in the middle of the new barn, I placed a saddle, not my wife's. That one's gone forever, but one that stands for her, for family, for land that can't be stolen by signatures or lies. Now I'd love to say it all ended there, neat and tidy, but anyone who's lived through a fight like this knows better. Power like that doesn't just vanish. It waits for another angle, another scheme. And sometimes I wonder if losing that HOA seat made Melissa more dangerous, or finally shut her down for good. I sit on my porch at night, coffee in hand, looking out across the fields, and I think about how close I came to losing it all to one woman's greed. So let me ask you, was justice really served, or did she just slip away to plan the next move somewhere else? Would you trust the system to protect your land if someone with the right friends tried to take it? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I want to know, what would you have done in my boots?